Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to day 3 of the Simplify Your Life challenge, or week 3 as it were, since we're doing this one video per week. How are you enjoying this so far? Have you been following along? Have you been decluttering with me, or are you just here watching my process and being astounded truly by how much stuff I have? Because that's where I'm at. I am here today to talk about decluttering books. Books, that's right. I also have a lot of those. Just to the right of me, I have 2 decently large bookshelves and then a third that is about half the size. They're full of books, some of which I have read, many of which I have not read. I've moved those books from house to house because it's one of those things where you think, oh, I'll get to that someday. And owning books is a lot about optics, right? Hey, look at how much I read. Look at all of the things that I know. And I do read, like, don't get me wrong, but I think in today's age, there's something to be said for owning books being a little bit more about the visual than the necessity. And truly, as I contemplate ever having to move again, I don't want to haul all of those boxes of super heavy books everywhere if I don't have to. There are books that I can't get digitally in any format, or I could maybe, but I would have to re-buy them and I've already spent the money, and we can go into that whole sunk cost and repurchase thing, but I'm not going to today. Those are fine. Maybe, probably, if you truly need them and want to keep them and reread them and you can't get them in any other form, well, what's your choices? But the thing is, right, with ebooks, with audiobooks, with libraries, if you live in a place with a decent public library system, there's not a whole lot of need to own a book because you can get access to that book fairly easily at this point, probably, unless it's very old. And so I was really questioning why I needed to actually physically own all of these books, many of which I haven't even read. What we're doing today is simultaneously a declutter, but it's also a little bit of research of, is this available digitally? And if so, is that a sufficient format for me? Do I need to physically own this thing? And even if it's an audiobook or an ebook, do I need to physically own that? I mean, it is taking up space in your life, right? It's less space, it's less visible space, but you know, my hard drive's almost full and like at least 50 gigabytes if that is audiobooks. Many of my questions today focused on, can I get this in another format? Because a lot of the questions that Michelle B puts forth in her ebook are things like, do I actually love this book? Have I even read this book? If I got rid of every book on my shelf that I haven't read, I would have a lot of books that are gone. That's true. But I wanted to read those books. I genuinely do. I genuinely did, and I genuinely do. At this point in life, I have way more time to listen to an audiobook than I do to sit down and read a book. So if it's available in audio, I'm gonna get it in audio because that'll help me get through them. So that's what I've been doing, is trying to listen to a lot of these books as audiobook formats from the library, because then I know, hey, I actually really did like that book, and then I can parse, do I want to own that or do I not want to own that? That may be different for you, but a few helpful guidelines are things like, your books don't define you. You're still you, whether you own those books or not. You've read them, you know them, you're familiar with them. If they truly bring joy to your life and have utility in your life, then yeah, keep them. It's okay to keep them. You're not bad for keeping books you enjoy having around. And owning fewer books doesn't make you less interesting or less intelligent or less of a person, but flip side is, owning more books doesn't necessarily make you smarter or more interesting. It just means you own more books. It's truly up to you what your book collection looks like. But I urge everyone to take a true look at the reasons you keep physical copies of those books around. Is it because you want people to think, look at how smart they are, they've read all those books? Is that why or not? I think that's a question we all need to ask ourselves. It's like, why do I own this? What is the true reason for me physically owning this thing? Is it for other people to see and think something of me, or is it for me? That's what I'm struggling with, and that's what I've been doing on this journey. And it is a struggle because it's making me have a lot of long, hard looks at a lot of long, hard truths about myself. And I think that's important. It's important to what we're doing here, certainly. So here are my questions as I go through this. You'll see on the video that I sort of separated things into piles, and then I asked the questions of each pile. So there are 2 piles of books that I start out with, which is, have I read this book? Or have I not read this book? Okay, separate that. And then within those, if I've read it, have I read it more than once? Do I revisit this book? Do I actually reread it? Even though I say, oh, I'm gonna keep this around because I might wanna reread it. Have you reread it? There are so many books in the world, and there are so many books that I am trying to read, and there's a pile of books that I haven't even read yet. Am I rereading these other ones? Valid question. Maybe the answer is yes. Can I get this in another format? So purchase an ebook, purchase an audiobook, get the ebook from the library, get the audiobook from the library. Is this accessible to me in a format that is not this physical printed bound object? If yes, do I need to keep the physical printed bound object, or is that other format acceptable? Is knowing that I can get this when I want to get it helpful? If I haven't read this, do I still want to read it? That comes up, right? You're just like, why did I buy this book? It's going to be a little bit complicated, and there are definitely spreadsheets involved. For recipe books, do I actually use these to cook more than 5 things? If no, can I just take a picture of the 5 things I make and then have that in my files? And also, can I just look up a similar thing online and not have to keep this book? The way we use our recipe books basically is we have an inventory of all the food that we have, and then we often reference those books to get ideas for what to do with it. So there are websites that, like Food Network, right, will help you do that. You can type in an ingredient and it'll give you a whole bunch of recipes. Sometimes it's just nice to look through the books and get inspiration though. We don't have very many recipe books, and in some cases we do keep them around just to look at and say, oh, that actually sounds really good. Do we have the stuff to make that? But mostly we start with the food we have and then we find something to make with it. Reference books. Is the information in here still useful to me, and will I reference it regularly? Sub-question. Can I read it, take notes, and then reference the notes? That might be more useful. It certainly takes up less space overall. So those are my questions. Again, we have categories and spreadsheets, and it gets a little complicated. Get ready for that. You don't have to be as complicated as me. I just have a lot of particular feelings about books. And books that I mean to read, and books that I think I'm going to want to keep. And so it all comes back around, but it gets a little complex for a while because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything and that I have documented, so that if I do get rid of a book, I don't forget that I owned it and wanted to read it, because I may have just said, oh, well, that exists on ebook and audiobook. I can get both from the library whenever I want. And then I'll forget, and then I'll be like, oh, what was the stuff I was going to get from the library and read? So I'm keeping a list, basically. I've actually always wanted a whole inventory of my books. It's something I have started and given up on several times because I owned so many books. So hopefully this will help me both be able to do that because I don't own that many books, and just have that list finally. Even if I do keep every single book on my shelf, I don't think that'll happen, but it might. you know, take all your books down, consider them against your guiding questions, and then put them back, you know, probably put them in bins of like, donate, throw this out. You can't recycle books. In Minneapolis, you can recycle paperbacks, but not hardcovers, but look up your local stuff. The glue makes them not recyclable. Sell them if you can, and then put the rest back. When you reshelve this stuff, truly think about how you want to store your book. What organizational system is going to make sense to you? Nobody thinks, oh, I really want to read a book that's this size. Like, I would like to read an A4 sized book. I would like to read a book with a green cover. So all the people that store their books like aesthetically by size and by color, those are people who don't read their books. Store your books by how you reach for them. By author, by title, by genre, by some combination of those things. Like I do, a lot of times it's genre and then author and then title within author, or chronological order of writing by author, depending. If you were at a bookstore and you were looking for books, how would you want to find them? This is your chance to put your books in that sort of order. All right, here are all of these books. There are more books in the other room, but Jonas is working in there right now. So we'll have to get those in a bit. I've actually gotten rid of a lot of things from here already. There didn't used to be empty shelves on this shelf, and then definitely not on this shelf. This one I've done less with. As I said in the intro, a lot of these I haven't read, which is fine. I actually do want to read them, but I am going to have multiple piles, which is, yeah, I actually don't want to read this. And 2, yes, I want to keep this, and it doesn't exist in audiobook format. And 3, I want to read this, but I can get the ebook from the library, and I don't think I'm going to want to read it again. Those are kind of the piles. I'm going to have to do some investigating on the does it exist in audiobook formats. It's going to be a slow process because we're moving things to Plex and other cloud storage formats, but here we go. So these books, this is hard because they're signed by the authors who I actually made maps for these books. So there's maps at the beginning of each chapter. That's the overall map, and then there's like that. I made all those. There's ones in the other ones too. And like, I mean, these are good books, but I don't know that I'm gonna read them a lot. But also, like, my name's in here, and they're signed to me, like, with a very nice message from the authors. So it's hard because I don't really want to give them away, and it's weird, like, buying books from half-price books or whatever that like have dedications to other people in them. Super weird, kind of, I guess. So I'm not sure what to do with these. Similarly with these, I used to work guest relations at some conventions, and we had a lot of authors come in, and so I have a lot of books that were like their stuff that they signed and gave to me, but I'm like, I read this and I'm probably not gonna read it again. These are also personalized to me by the author who I know, but I'm also like, these take up a lot of room and I never look at them. I think I'm gonna get rid of these even though they're like signed to me. It's weird, but maybe someone will buy them at half-price books anyway. Same with these. I know this guy. These are addressed to us. They're good, but they're not really like reread books. I mean, I guess I'll get rid of them, and if people want to buy books that are signed to other random strangers, they can buy books that are signed to random other strangers. this is the pile from the one shelf I did. Basically everything in these front rows, like the front two bits, are things that I haven't read and need to see if they exist elsewhere. The stuff in the back are things I have read and wanted to keep and see if they exist, are books and things that I know will not exist in an audio format. So if I want to keep them, I probably have to keep the physical media. But for the most part, this is the stuff I need to deal with. That brief pile back there is stuff I already have on audiobook. I just haven't checked them to make sure that they work properly. So I want to check the audiobook files before I get rid of the things. So that's what we got going on, and I'm going to make a spreadsheet now. Okay, so from all the stuff that was in that one cabinet, I still haven't dealt with this one. I'm keeping these things. So this pile and this pile are stuff I've read and I want to keep. It's either because I can't get it on audiobook / ebook, or because I genuinely reread it kind of regularly. This stuff is all things that I haven't read yet that I can't reliably get. Some of it I can get on ebook, but not audiobook. And if I end up liking it and I want to keep it around, I don't want to have to keep getting the ebooks. So then I'm going to have to think about if I want to spend money buying the ebooks again, or if I just want to have it in physical media. So some of this front row is most likely going to leave after I read it, but I don't know yet if it's going to be something I want to keep. These two, that small pile is just art books and graphic novels, so we'll deal with that. And then this pile here is stuff I already have on audiobook, but I need to check. I'm going to get rid of those. I just need to enter them into a different spreadsheet to track the... This is all stuff that's leaving. That stuff back there is recycling. Just needs to go. 3 decent sized piles. I did the math and I'm keeping currently about 60%, and this is about 40%. That's fine because, like I said, I haven't read most of that, so it's just the 2 stacks in the back that are things I've read that are staying. So, small incremental progress towards getting rid of books, but we'll get there. I'm gonna get some water and then do the next shelf. Okay, here's most of shelf 2, aside from the separate category of things that need dealing with that will not have audio or ebooks 100%. Most of that's graphic novels or something fancy. This is stuff I've read. This is stuff I haven't read. I told you I haven't dealt with this shelf yet, so it was bound to be like this, where that one, the other one, I had already processed all of the things I had read that I knew I wanted to keep, but this one I haven't gone through. So the have read this pile is significantly larger than the haven't read this pile. Back to my spreadsheets. Well, we did pretty well with this shelf. These are the ones I'm getting rid of, which is most of them, and then that's what I'm keeping. This is the stuff right here that I haven't read yet. And then these are the things I have read, and I love these Pendragon books, and I cannot get them. I can get them on ebook probably, but I'm keeping them anyway for now. We'll see. If I may change my mind if I have to move a bunch of books, but for now we're keeping them. So yeah, this will get added to this pile, and that will be leaving us. And then I have to sort out this stuff on the bottom there. But yeah, we're basically gonna have an entire empty bookshelf, I think, when we're done with this, which will be interesting. We'll figure it out. Empty shelves are a problem to be solved later. They're not really a problem, in fact. So I'm gonna organize this, and then, you know, we'll be back at some point, probably to show you my newly organized shelf and my newly empty shelf. All right, here's where we are. This shelving system probably makes no sense to most people. It does match up with my spreadsheet though. So what's up here is things I haven't read yet that do come in an electronic format, basically, is that top shelf. This is things I haven't read yet that may or may not come in electronic format. A lot of them do not. That goes until here. These are things I have read and am keeping, regardless of whether they come in an electronic format or not. And then this is nonfiction stuff. I have to deal with these things, and then it's mostly a tomorrow problem, but I have all these notebooks and like this stuff, and I have to find somewhere for it to go. And then there's the cookbooks and stuff. I have a bit to do still, but we're getting there. Okay, so officially we have one shelf. I need Jonas to make some decisions on this. So that's books done. We have this pile of stuff is leaving, and also this pile of stuff. So I need to get some boxes for this. And this is what remains. Not bad. We basically emptied one bookshelf, which is pretty great. And a lot of this will continue to leave as I find audiobooks, get audiobooks, or read this and decide I don't need to keep it. So, you know, really only here to like here is for sure staying, and then the cookbooks and probably the stuff on the bottom. And then some of these Dutch books, I have to deal with those. I didn't go through them. I didn't feel like thinking in Dutch today. So that's what we have. That brings us to progress report. How much did I declutter today? In my case, it was like half of my books. I still feel ishy about it because now I just have an empty bookshelf sitting in my living room. So I still have these big, tall shelving furniture things that I haven't done anything with. I'm telling myself to not deal with anything having to do with furniture. Like, I can get rid of things if they're obviously being gotten rid of and have no other utility. But in terms of like these shelves and some other things, I'm just not dealing with them until the whole major declutter process is done, because I want to know how much I need space for. I don't want to prematurely buy things and then find out I could have just repurposed another shelf, or prematurely get rid of something and then say, oh, I really wish I still had that. So I'm just leaving all the empty furniture in my house, and it feels very strange and unsatisfying to me. And also, the remaining bookshelf that I have is not organized. It's just piles of things I need to deal with in some respects, like the reference books that I need to take notes of, and the binders with the notes from the other reference books. And it just looks messy where it does still exist, except for the one shelf that still has books in it. So it's a little weird and feels a little unsettling and not satisfying or happy to me. I actually feel bad about it. I feel okay about how much I got rid of. That's good. But my living room is not less full than it was before. because it still has big shelves in it. They just now have big shelves with nothing in them. Hopefully it'll all come together in the end. For now, it feels strange. So, how did you do? What was your progress? How do you feel? Are you cathartic about the books or upset? Did you keep all of your books, all of the things? I really truly recommend, if you have a half price books, just haul it all over there if you can. Just drop it there and they'll give some amount of money for it. It's never a lot, but it's something, and then you don't have to deal with it. I love half price books. That's where I buy most of my books, and that's where most of my books end up when they are done. I will put some footage in here. Joan is driving all of our stuff to half price books. So we're going to half price books. That's the 2 boxes in the back seat. The trunk is also full. And there's 3 more boxes of stuff downstairs. It's not all books, it's books, and then there's some of the other media that we had gotten rid of earlier. So don't think I got rid of all of that yesterday. It's been a few cullings of things, I guess, really. But yeah, I had 2 big boxes that size, and then 2 smaller boxes of books yesterday, and then there were already a couple boxes in the basement. Oh, more than a couple boxes in the basement. So we're gonna have to make another trip, but that's fine because I still have more stuff to go through. So we'll just do this in shifts. No more fits in the car anyway, so that's where we're off to. We just like it. You can make a little money, which you can then put towards buying furniture because you probably need more furniture or smaller furniture, maybe a smaller bookshelf, I don't know. Or you can just spend it on the treat yourself bits of this whole exercise, or you can just have extra money. That's cool too. And then celebrate yourself and tell me how you did. How did you do? That's it for me for the books declutter. We'll see you next time where we will work on paper. I have a feeling the line between paper and stationery is going to get a little blurred in this house just because we have all of it shoved everywhere. And what goes with what is a little bit nebulous in times. But I will see you for that next week. Tomorrow, however you're doing this, whenever you're watching this, day 4, whatever that is for you, and give me a thumbs up if you like this, thumbs down if you're like, eh. Remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know about more of these videos, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.